Hey everybody,
Yo,
what's
welcome
up?
back.
Hey friends, there's a lot of familiar faces in chat. Our friend Paco is here. Thiago is here. Thiago was here last week. I remember that. We looked at his work last week, correct?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
What's up? So many good friends. Our friend Steven Overturf. Hello, hello, hello.
What's
And
up,
yes,
dude?
my mustachio is getting longer. My nails are no color today. Maybe we'll paint them. We'll see for next week. Hello, welcome to Office Hours. My name is Andrew Hochradel.
I'm Nick Longo.
There we
Look at
go. We
us, we're
got it.
seamless.
It's only taken us 3 months to get
3 months. Now we're feeling getting into the grooves
Yeah, we're
here.
getting into the group. Yeah, just a little bit. So welcome to Office Hours. This is a weekly show with Nick Longo and I, and we are here to help you step up your portfolios, get ready for the workforce, and just be a better creative in general. We are your old uncles that will sit on the porch and tell you stories of all of the all of the stories we have from our many years of experience. Yes.
I love it.
All right. So today, Nick, do you want to talk a little bit about what the topic is today before we
Yeah,
hop in?
so to help continue on with everything we've been talking about making you a better designer, getting you more ready, especially if you're doing freelance work or if you're looking for a job, we couldn't think of a more timely topic right now, but to talk about your design and doing design for change. How do you make impact in your design if the nucleus or the subject matter or something about what you're working on really needs to persuade somebody to change or rethink something? And that's what we're going to dive into today. And we got some great examples to show you guys. We did it specifically to ignite the chat and get you guys to tell us what you think is working in a lot of these examples. So get your keyboards ready. We want to hear everything what you guys say, because we're just two people, right? Like you got to change people's minds in the masses when you're doing something like this. So we want to hear what you guys think might be working and might not be. I can't take you.
This is you guys typing. This is you guys typing your feedback on your tiny little keyboards. That's what we want to see. All your tiny little hands typing away. When you have perspectives and we ask for your thoughts, just get them ready. Yeah. Exactly. So yes, we're going to be talking about design for change today. I did it. I'm so sorry to everyone that just got a Slack notification. So I worked at a nonprofit for 8 years, and so have a lot of experience working with nonprofits, working toward things that drive for change. So I'm going to talk a little bit about my perspective on that, and then Nick is going to show some really great examples of other areas and places that have done that very, very well. So before we jump in, actually, I want to highlight one thing over here right above us at bit.ly/this link here. You can go there and get involved with our Slack. I'm sure, yes, Cody is definitely going to drop a link to the chat. And that was my segue, actually. I intentionally had that Slack notification go off so I could segue into... No, I didn't. But go to the Slack, get involved, join our community, and get connected there. It's a great place for you to connect with Office Hours outside. And also use hashtag Adobe Office Hours on social media. And that will get you into our lineup to get reviewed. We're going to be doing
especially
reviews.
with especially the next month coming up of getting kind of back into school. And those of you, we'd love to know what challenges you guys are really facing when it comes to getting back in. We really want to do some stuff all about like the online learning and what you can do to be super productive and positive with it, knowing how challenging that's going to be. I'm putting my class together right now, and it's almost like you're just throwing stuff on the wall to see what's going to work. Right.
That's a great idea. And if you have any ideas for segments that you want us to do, please let us know. Literally put them in chat. We have some great ideas. Someone last week had asked about doing an in-house segment. We both worked in-house, so that would be really fun. I would love to do a segment where we both just like teach a lesson that is just like from our perspective classes. I do a history lesson, you do a lesson about branding.
Would be amazing.
And it's just like, cool, we're just gonna like literally be your teachers. Well, we're your honorary
teachers. Love that idea.
Yes,
let's do that.
All right, cool.
That's on the books.
Let's hop in then and jump into what we were talking about today. Let me push the button.
Perfect.
It worked. All right, so design for change, we're on. We are floating in the sea of orange.
Perfect. Let's get to a sea of yellow, page 2. This is one of the quotes I found that I thought was really relevant to right now. And more than ever, we as designers have this opportunity to make change or to push change or to help a company that needs to do that. And I think more than ever, I've been telling a lot of my students too, I don't know what if you've been having conversations like this with others, Andrew, but like, I feel like so many designers feel like, you know, with jobs being hard to find and all these other things, is now the right time to be in the job market. And I'm just so positive that I feel like within the next few months, it's got to kind of bounce back, and they're going to be needed more than ever, you know?
Yep.
It's just one of those things. So this is your chance.
Yeah, I'm very much talking to my clients right now that are kind of on the fence of rebranding or trying to introduce anything new, to saying like, hey, you are losing a ton of momentum right now with whatever cause you're driving toward. I'm working with a big church up in Sacramento. And I'm like, you're probably losing a ton of momentum right now driving toward the goals you want to accomplish.
Yes.
And so this is the perfect time to do a rebrand, because then when you come back, we can help drive momentum to keep that cause going, to get people refreshed, refocused on like what the core, what the values are that we're working toward. So this is really the perfect time to be doing that.
Yes.
So yeah, I agree.
Sure.
Yep.
Perfect. Next slide. Basically sustainability. Oh wait.
Designers have ability.
One up ahead. Yep. Designers have this unique ability to envision and imagine a better world. So I think also too, we're almost like forecasting what that change will bring. So that's why I love doing work like this too, because it, in most cases for a lot of my clients, it's very optimistic, right? It's very like, hey, this is what's going to happen. This is what we're hoping was going to happen. So your copy and your headlines and your font choices and your color theory all really play into this kind of thing. The next slide. It comes in a lot of different ways. It's not just political. It's not just activism. It's everything from sustainability, culture, you know, big data, and then emerging technology. If there's something new, think of when Uber had to like explain themselves as a new company. You know, they had to be very impactful, and they were saying, I'm asking you to change a way of life, you know, how you actually use transportation. So again, we as designers are part of that solution and getting it together.
Yep. So there's a great documentary on some streaming platform, and since you don't have a ton of things to do, you should watch it. It's called Merchants of Cool. And it is basically a documentary about how MTV has like throughout the decades helped to inform and like dictate what the definition of cool is. And that's what we do as designers, is we decide what is cool. We define relevancy. And so now's a great time for us to reconsider that and think, okay, cool, what is relevant? And we can design that for the future and then define that across the board. Like, this is the thing through the work that we create.
What was it called again?
Merchants of Cool.
Perfect. That's our homework for everybody.
Oh my, why don't we give homework on this show?
What kind of teachers are we?
You guys are getting homework every week from now on. Just know that that's happening. You're getting take-home homework.
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
All right. So let's get into some examples, because this is what we want to show you guys. And I really would love to hear from you guys when you see some of these. We'll go into this first one here, the no band, no wall. Sanctuary for all. I love this one too, because it was one, like, I just went through image searches for these to see what grabbed my eye first. I think that's one of the first things I loved about this one. You know, it kind of catches your eye. Great color combination. You know, what about it to you sings like stop and take a look? Like, what's grabbing you to this?
Yeah, I think definitely and for me, it's all about indexes on anything that is giving me information or like causing me to do something.
Yes.
It's what are the indexes that are being used that are giving me information. And so the chevrons that are like pointing down are like telling me there's motion, there's action, there's momentum going towards something. The type with the color, especially on the yellow, is like exciting, draws your eye. It's the classic McDonald's red and yellow where you're excited and hungry. And it's on PBS. Thank you, Steven. It's on PBS, Thanks. Everyone.
Yes.
Merchants are Cool. But yeah, I think that this is a great example of like style with substance.
Perfect. Yeah. I love that idea. And also too, like these fonts that I see, this I felt is a really good, successful use of these ones that feel handcrafted, but still can be readable and still feel there's a touch to it, like there's a human touch to it. It's not a font right out of a factory. It feels real. And those are the decisions we make as designers, is if that's what we want to show, you know? Yep. So I really like this one. I think it was really clean. This next one, again, like, wow, did this one just like catch my eye? I love things like this, that where the font and the illustration have this same almost chiseled, crafted vibe. There's a unity there, but look at those colors. Like, I mean, how could you not stop and look at this? What do you guys think? I'm just curious, when you guys see something like this, what's working for the It Takes Roots to change the system? I think the message alone is like so wonderfully written, right?
Yeah. Let us know in chat what your thoughts are on this. And I'm going to kind of give a preface that like may or may not relate. It just popped in my mind of, I guess, a reference to. So when I'm teaching about like propaganda during the World Wars, right? There were two very different sides to how people would be informed through art. Okay, so this is me going to teacher mode for a second. So the one side had the destruction of the opponent's symbols or things that represented them. So it was all about destruction, all about tearing down, and all about taking whatever was sacred to one group and tearing it apart. Now, the other side was all about building up the values of what were inherent to them. So they would completely ignore the opponent and build up the values that were to them. But the thing that actually worked for both sides, which was very smart, is that almost all of the propaganda, everything that had a message that was calling people to action, was designed toward the lowest common denominator. So that means when you're designing stuff like this, I always think about it of if it didn't have any type on it, if the type was in a different language, if it said something completely different, if it was an ad for pancakes, would I still be moved to do something about it? And so when you're thinking about that, you have to keep in mind the lowest common denominator. So maybe you're, communicating in a way that appeals to literally everyone. That's what you want. Don't get too conceptual with it. You want to keep it at that base level.
Yeah. I also thought this had a unique vibe between both the woman on the right, very positive, the woman on the left, on the activist side, and then the woman in the middle feeling almost like a little down. Like it's pulling at your emotional strings, right? Like there's something at this thing that's really, it kind of represents all of the faces and that human thing that we really want to see in things. So I like the minimal color palette with the purple can represent ambiguous. Yes, or ambitious. I think there's so many different great things about this one because it really plays very universal yet very focused, you know?
Yep.
Cool.
Absolutely.
All right,
going down.
We're going to the next one.
Some classic type.
Now this one, as far as this has everything that works, right? It's like this impact font, the highest contrast between yellow and black, and reversing out the lives. Like I think there's this has every ingredient to be successful. And I think that's why it's so successful.
Yep. And this is a play on something that I've talked about a couple of times, is the idea of design is all about informing content with the right context.
Yes.
And I love applications like this to where it takes the content and it says, no. The content is the context. Period. There's no twist on it. Like, this is just what it is. And so I love stuff like this. It just puts that forward, that it's like, oh, what's the art direction and the style? It's like, oh, Black Lives Matter. And you're like, oh yeah, okay, cool. There's no, we don't have to take a twist on it. Like, the content of that message is so important that we push it to the forefront to where it takes over that context to become its own thing.
Yeah. Also too, there's also something about that highlighter yellow that is so, it's causing you to look, it's like caution. It's like alert. There's something about I've highlighted this for a reason, and you're seeing it within their logo. And I think that to me is one of those simple things, but sometimes less is more. Like, there's no graphic in here. It's all text. There's no imagery, but again, one of the most successful ones. And I think just nails it with everything. Let's go to the next one.
All
right. So our next one, I think this is probably the most classic one. And probably what I feel, do you remember when you first saw this? Even as a designer, I was like, oh my God, this is gorgeous.
Yes.
This is hopeful. This is everything, right? It's just unreal. And to focus on one word, most people might think, you're not saying enough, but wouldn't you argue you're saying everything?
I don't think you're saying anything. You're asking I don't know, you're informing a emotion. I think just we see motion lines, or we see colors being used as an index, we're using a word as an index, which is really hard to do. That it's just hey, think about the idea of hope when you look at this. It's not saying anything, it's just hey, dwell on this idea.
Yeah. Yep. This is Shepard. This I remember seeing one of Shepard's designers talk about this at a conference. It was at Crop in San Diego.
Yep.
Remember?
Yep.
And just the impact and what this meant and what it did. And I'd love to know what you guys think. Like, what does it say to you? What does it mean to you when you see this? Like, I love also that it has the Americana colors without being red, white, and blue like we're trained to. It's a tonal change, right? You got the antique white, and then you have this deeper muted blue and a unique red.
Yep. And again, it's using those colors as indexes to tell you that, like, oh, this is an American thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, let's get to the next one. Again, this one I think just has the overall impact of pure contrast. You're right. A fantastic kind of very well-known kind of symbol of unity and everything with the hands coming together. It could borderline a little cliche, right? But I like that it has the graphics behind it, and they're just enough to kind of give you the feel of a neighborhood, of a hometown, of housing, meaning is the bigger part of this.
Yep.
Kind of works in a lot of ways.
Yeah, and again, lowest common denominator, that I don't speak Spanish very well or read Spanish very well, but it's still like I know what it's talking about, and I still get the energy, and that's the thing.
Yep, exactly. All right, let's get to the next one. This one, I think as well, it's campaign design rather than, let's call it maybe full-on graphic design like a lot of the other ones we saw.
Like copywriting design, yeah.
Oh my God, yeah, but like talking about change, stirring people's like opinions. When this came out, it was almost like they did it, and when Nike did this, it was making such a bold statement that I felt like it was like they really put their stake in the ground and said, with this alone, they're supporting everything that he was saying.
Yep. Absolutely.
Again,
we're going to talk about this at the end with one of my hot takes about creating a platform if your voice isn't the one that needs to be heard. So yes, we'll continue on. Ooh, exciting.
Cool. Then I picked a few here that I just thought were unique for, particularly with COVID and everything else, and doing things that were a little bit different, like not trying to evoke panic, and actually have a little fun with it, right? But get to the message as far as this one. And I saw this one on Instagram. I thought it was really cool, by the washing of the hands with this full on glitter and jewels and everything, almost just romanticizing or emphasizing the need, but making it look different and catching your eye.
Yep. Absolutely,
very well done.
And this is a great example again of the context informing the content. That it's like, oh, we need to make a piece about like washing your hands. We're like, cool. Yes. Well, the context is going to be that it's glitzy and glamorous, and then something that's mundane, the content turns into something new.
Yeah, and I think if you saw this and then you're hours later leaving somewhere and you didn't think of washing your hands, but then this kind of triggered, or you remembered this, it would do the job for you in a way, because it's like it's a little uncommon, and I think that's something you got to do.
It is.
This next one I thought again was great too, where I saw a lot of this stuff where people were doing reward stickers and everything else, and I love this kind of stuff, like where it's just a beautifully drawn, fun, exciting. I think it's great to get kids involved too. If you're thinking about parents or teachers that were really struggling to get kids to understand what was going on, here's a perfect way to create some change by making it fun. It doesn't always have to be so in your face and like dramatic.
Yep. It doesn't always have to like be instructional. It can be celebratory.
Yes.
Which is a nice twist on it. Kind of refreshing.
I love the one, didn't hoard the toilet paper. Like, there's your reward.
I know. I ordered rolls from Staples right when everything started going down, and they got here, and it was like the 2-foot roll for like an office.
Yes.
And it was a pack of 6 of them. So I have like 6,000 feet of toilet paper that I thought I was just getting one. So I'll have toilet paper for the rest of my life.
You're set to 2024.
We're good. All right. So going into some brand and product examples. And we will be getting to portfolio reviews. We're going to be looking at some photography today, which will be fun.
Exactly.
So we're going to zoom through these, and then we'll hop over there and start doing those.
Perfect. So I think brands and packaging and all these things can also be a part of brand pop culture and things like that. And if you're trying to make someone make a huge change in a product or in health or in their diet, this one is a fantastic one for a meat alternative package. It's doing it really strong, but it's not too preachy. But again, really, really cool. I think it'll catch something like this, catches your eye, makes you think twice. I don't think it's, you know what I love about it too? It's not blasting the whole plant, because that's what everybody else is doing. And these guys did it, I thought, a lot more cleverly.
Something that Patagonia did as well is they at one point replaced all of their imagery across their ads and all social media with only women, and they did it for like a year and just didn't tell anybody. They were just like,
isn't that fantastic?
This is how the outdoors are. And so that's one of my favorite things of like driving change is like, we're not going to try to do anything. We're just going to do it. And then hopefully it like has an impact.
Yeah. This next one's really kind of cool too. Just this Peace Coffee one. I think, again, anytime you throw in keywords and turn them into the brand and to the copy and to what's being communicated on the actual package, there's something really great about this. You obviously see organic and fair trade first. So if you're pushing for someone who wants to buy things that are applying change to the way processes are done or people are being treated, again, that you can do it with design on packaging and through products like this. I thought this was a really great example. Again, you can see it just continues on the next page. So many great things where it's like, think of what you see in a propaganda poster and that visual communication it does, it could work in packaging. It can work in commercial art as well. These are another great example. And I think my last one here, or second to last, is this Puma one. And this one awards because like for sustainability, this bag, and I'm sure a lot of you've seen this, was the new way Puma shoes were shipped, displayed, and sold to the consumer, all with a bag, all with a second purpose. Like, so if you can make packaging that you can use again, you've kind of, prevented it from being waste. So again, these are great ways to do it. This one's fantastic. And I love this one too, just as far as like this product line of beauty care and everything. It's just being so bold that it's just putting almost paragraphs on the front. As like, there's nothing else here, but just a message and make it clean and clear what it is. And let's make an impact.
Yep.
So pretty, really cool.
Absolutely. So how can you start?
Yes. So I think there's some great things you can do. Just explore what you are passionate about. Right now, I'd love for anybody to just throw in, if there's anything that's non-design related that you think you can do something for, throw it out there, because that might even just start you thinking, be like, wow, I've never reached out to a church or an organization to maybe help them out. Become really curious about your local communities and your government and nonprofits. Like, we should be more than ever being a part of that and helping them out, giving our skills to them.
Yeah.
The next page, design with your heart.
Nonprofits are dope. Like that's my professional advice. Nonprofits are dope and they're super fun to work with. So
I got to work with the Kohl's department store and their Cares for Kids program for like 10 years. And when you see what you can do for a change and the money it raised and all the other stuff, to me, that's the most rewarding work you can work on as a designer, I think.
Yep.
So obviously get in there, design with your heart, follow your interests. So if there's something you guys are passionate about, put it in the chat. And I think we can maybe like spark a few ideas and maybe somebody else can, but whatever your natural thing is, if you're into wilderness, if you're into outdoors, if you're into, the ecology or just saving the planet or whatever it is, there's your first step,
Yep.
And reiterate all the time, or don't be afraid to fail. I think that's the other thing too. I think a lot of times we're afraid to do this because it might not be our wheelhouse or anything, but you'll get better. So all those times that you go over and over and over again, it might be fail, you come back again, but you'll do something really, really cool, So look at that. Everyone's saying like reading and writing or poetry. That could be, how about book clubs? How do you initiate people to read more?
Yep.
So many different things you can do.
Yeah.
And last here is the just designing for social change is so hard, but it's work that needs to be done. I think you walk away more feeling like proud of the work you did because it's something that was such a challenge. So,
yep.
Yeah.
So moving on, I have a couple hot takes. These will be your like screenshot tweetable phrases if you like them. And they're kind of just my general observations of working in nonprofit sector for 8+ years, of things that I've learned that were kind of hard lessons, or things that just kind of rubbed off on me over the years. So the first thing you need to do is ask yourself, WTF, which is what's the function? And what I mean by that is when you're making something for a change, you have to ask yourself, what is the function of this? Is this self-serving? Yeah. Is this something I'm making for me? Or is it something that is calling someone to action? When you're creating for a cause, a lot of times it's not about the aesthetic, it's about the application and the action that is put behind whatever that is. It's about building a system to be sustainable, to scale, to drive momentum. And so you really have to think, what is the function of the thing that I'm creating?
Yeah.
Next up is code hooks over quality. This is a big thing that I try to communicate to people. Is there's a moment in the movie Men in Black where Jay, and I think we've talked about it on the show before, he like watches the arms dealer who's like an alien. His like head gets shot, and then it like goes back, and he's like, "How many magic stings?" And then he goes outside, and there's this bike that's covered in Christmas lights, and he walks out and says, "What are you doing? Searching for a handle on the moment?" And so that I always go back to as a creative is a lot of times we're just giving people a handle on the moment. Your work can suck. It can not be great. It cannot be a good mark. You can have a terrible campaign. But if you're giving people these code hooks that they can hang their experience, their passion, their like moment that they are, if you can give them that code hook to hang on, then that's what you want to do as a creator.
Yes.
Sometimes, whatever they own is more important to them and more sacred to them and more powerful. If you give them somewhere to remember it, then that's really all that's good. And yes, so great observation, Brady Dando. If you don't know Ben Stafford, that's what he is all about. His handle is Ben Couraging. Yes. Go follow Ben Stafford. If Maud, you can drop a link to his Instagram or his Twitter. Yes, Ben is absolutely amazing. One of my good friends over the years. But yes, he is very, very encouraging. And then last thing here is platforms over voices. So we talked about this earlier, that sometimes as a creative, it's not about what you have to say, but it is about the expertise that you have to lift up voices, right? If you're in a room with a bunch of people shouting different things, as a creative, it's our job to figure out how do we elevate a platform and amplify a different voice. And we can do that very well systematically and figure out how to creatively address that problem. And so sometimes you need to be the bottom of the pyramid so that the cheerleader on top can do like the full split thing. You need to be down being that base. And just keep that in your mind, that especially working with nonprofits, or especially working with like churches, that it's someone else is going to be communicating this message. I just have to create the best platform I possibly can to create what that message is. Because honestly, somebody's going to do that better than me. And so I need to do what I'm really good at so that they can do what they're really good at.
Good.
Yeah. So those are all my points. There are some extra slides. I just forgot to take them out. So we're going to continue going through and start to look at some portfolios over here. And we are saying, hi, Donna. Good morning. Good afternoon. It's 1:30 here, guys. It's
I know.
the morning in my time zone. All right, so let's go ahead and hop into our first portfolio. And this is our friend Joyeeta, I believe.
Yes.
And Joyeeta is a photographer. We're going to be talking about photography, which is really fun. And I'm going to give you some more hot takes on the thoughts that I have on photography as a creative avenue to drive change. So Nick, do you want to start out? Do we want to hop into here?
Yeah. Where do you want to, anything in particular you want to start off with hers? Travel, maybe? Second one down.
Yes, let's do that.
Let's do travel. So I love this. Like, I do like, first of all, just even as simple as her font choice, it just feels great. I think there's a nice welcoming vibe to it. Makes me want to look in and see what she's taken here. And these are just absolutely beautiful. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yep.
These
and
are
so
really, really nice.
Yeah. What I want to talk about, especially with photography, is this kind of photography. The compositions and the colors and everything are gorgeous. But this kind of photography is less about composition and less about like trying to construct something and more about capturing a moment. So I almost like to describe it as, especially this kind of street photography style, I like to describe it more as being a hunter than being a photographer. That you're hunting for a moment. You're hunting for a special something that's happening, and then you're capturing that and sharing it with the world, right? Instead of constructing a message, you are capturing a message.
Yes. I think, were you at Adobe Max a few years ago where there was the photographer? I just looked her up. It was Annie Griffiths.
I was not.
Oh my gosh. I'm dropping this in chat so you guys could take a look at this YouTube video. It's from Adobe Max a few years ago. Showed one of the best presentations of what photography and specifically in other parts of the world, how impactful it can be. And the first thing I thought of when I saw her pictures here. So I put the link in there if anybody wants to check that out later. It's all available for you.
Yep. And it's
this is beautiful.
it's cool, especially with photography, that to drive change, it is about giving information. It's so much index of giving information that you're like, these may not be special scenes to you. It may be things that you see every day, but to the audience that's wider, it's something that's new, that's engaging, that is helping us to understand your culture and understand the context that you are creating from. And as a photographer behind the lens, you can go in and you can highlight specific things, right? That there's always stuff happening outside of the frames of whatever you're working with. And you're choosing very specific things to highlight in those frames to help give us information about something that feels important to you.
Yeah. I love that there's a bit of, I'm always envious of photographers because it's one thing I don't do and I wish I could or I should get into, but I love there's a grittiness. She's definitely got a bit of the signature thing going, even as I look through most of the photography. And I think you did a great job there. I know you're in chat. I'd love to hear what purpose do you feel you can do with photography? What's your number one goal you want to do as a photographer?
Yeah, let us know if you're in chat.
Let us know. I'd love to hear what you say.
Have hopped over into the color tab, scrolled about halfway down, I don't know, about a quarter of the way down. There's a picture of a boy that's like peeking around a corner smiling. So this is a perfect example of what I'm talking about, of your mindset to get this shot. I know that you haven't staged this, that your mindset is that you have your camera and you're waiting to capture something. And that's the design portion of being a photographer, is you're going out and you're standing here thinking, okay, I need to frame this shot in this doorway. I'm going to wait. Maybe I'm already interacting with this boy that's here and I know that he's going to pop back out and I want that shot. You're composing it, but trying to like organically make it happen. And this is another great one that shows this is strictly capturing a moment. And I love that your focus is off, because to me, it just shows, oh, it was a moment that has been captured, not something that's been staged or just like, intentionally crafted. It really is this insight into your world.
Oh, it's just gorgeous. Yeah. There's such a richness here. She's captured the colors so well, and you see that grit that's still in there. It's almost like unifying everything to me. But that's a great point you have, where nothing here feels staged. It's almost like she has caught moments in time, and how real that could be if these were ever to be used in anything that needed to be of change or of a movement or things like that. She would love to do travel photography and click unusual photos. Yes. I love that. I think that's what makes us more engaged and interested, is something unusual that we haven't seen before.
And capturing cultures. You do a really great job at capturing cultures. This shot a little bit down with the woman in green, Nick, if you want to keep scrolling. This is gorgeous, and what a moment to capture. This is a great moment. It has a story. You do a really great job at telling stories with your work. And so, I would say just keep telling stories and capturing these stories with your work. As far as like presentation, Nick, do you have any advice on how she could present this work a little differently?
Yeah, I would say this, I would love to start looking for some really successful photography websites just to give our team here a little bit of reference, but I would love to see a little bit more in your delivery of how you're presenting them. What was the purpose of each one? So maybe giving us a little bit of a descriptive copy at the very top that tells us why color was something you chose to make a block of photography and what you're hoping to capture. It's always those objectives, because then me as the viewer is going to know, wow, she nailed it. Like, she got everything she was trying to create and explain to me as a potential client or, job opportunity, whatever it is. But I think that's an interesting thing, because maybe they're not case studies like in a typical way, but still you can present these a little bit more engaging.
I agree. And even putting things and making them advertisements, putting them in context to where they would get used on magazines, on maybe Subway ads, and showing them in context, I think would be helpful to really make it so that it is something that is kind of elevated. And then especially with your that we were looking at of the people. So like, sorry, I clicked over to the wrong one. Where was
Which one are you on?
There we go. So even looking at like your portraits of people and captures of like culture, I would like try to do maybe a series or put it on a website. And like there's areas for text that it's like, hey, the hidden world of, the children in whatever, that it is maybe pair up with a copywriter or try to make it so that you can see the editorial use, put it in a magazine. So it's like, oh man, these photos go great with this story, and it becomes a photo essay.
Even narrative. I was talk over it. Right? Record audio over it.
And go look on YouTube, do research or whatever, and look up photo stories and editorial kind of work, and you'll see that there are really great applications for just photo stories that will be in magazines. There'll be editorials that will literally just be like 6 parades of photos that tell a story. So your work is very much there, so I would continue to explore that.
Really, really nice. Yeah, I'd love to just see one thing you do, like you said, a book, a narrative, or something that gives you, if you watch that video of the link there too, you'll see she tells a story through her photography that was probably more moving than her photos, and her photos were just ridiculously amazing and captured some of the most incredible stuff. So do it to that, romanticize it a little bit, tell us that what led you there and what made you make that capture. An overarching kind of theme between them could be really, really amazingly strong. But well done. More. This is so robust. There's so much to look at. I can spend all day on this.
Good job. Unfortunately, we cannot because we do have to keep going.
I gave you that segue.
Yes, thank you. But thank you, Joyeeta, for joining us. Yes. I know that you stayed up very, very late to watch. So thank you for joining us so much here on Office Hours. And thanks for submitting. We loved looking at your work. It's really great. And I hope to see great things from you in the future.
There we go.
All right, moving on to our friend Sharvari.
Sharvari
from Mumbai, India. There we go. We are worldwide today.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about the overarching look of this, and we have some things that are in action to change.
Yeah, this is great. Like you get that right from the very beginning, right? In those first 6 to 9 tiles. I love this. This is really unique. As far as like, I find too, not being a talented illustrator myself, when I see others, I really appreciate the ones that have a vibe and a feel all of their own. And I don't see like there's much, I see there's a lot of originality here. It doesn't feel like it's just capturing the illustration design of the moment. Yep. So I'm really happy to see that she's got that going. Hey, she's here in the chat.
Hey.
How are you? This looks great. Do you want to pop into you want to do the hands and quotes?
Where's that?
Or the quarantine? We got stay home, stay safe. Which one do you want to check out first?
Oh yeah, let's look at stay home, stay safe.
Perfect.
So again, when we're talking about designing for change, a great way to do that is to, and I'm going to get history teacher on you again, is to look to the past and then process it through the present to create the future, right? So what you've done here is you're taking inspiration from art movements of the past and then putting it through the lens of dealing with COVID and then creating something that is a new piece in the future. And so here I see elements of, and I'm just going to throw names that you guys can Google and figure out. Theo von Desberg, he worked in the vestigial movement. We have a little bit of the classical style back from when we were doing illuminated manuscripts. And little elements like that, a little Spanish pictorial modernism. And I love that even though you're not maybe intentionally referencing those things, they are coming back, and it is that history reliving, but being told through the lens of what is now, which is all this COVID stuff. And so you very much have done a great job communicating that it has become art that has a message.
Yes, and I like how she's been feeling a little bit overwhelmed with the situation, so gotta get it let out. And that's one of the best things. I think some of the best art comes out of that, when you're just doing something to get it out of your system.
Yep.
This is fantastic.
Yeah, work is what you do for hours, and art is what you do for yourself. That's a great quote.
So, and like we always say, I think you could turn this into a whole line of t-shirts and things and very cool social media posts, maybe a series of it, because you've got so many good little elements that you can pick and choose from. So expand on it. Let's see what you can make out of it.
And if you want to turn it into something, this is great content for an editorial spread. Exactly. Get a copywriter, or put in placeholder text and show it to me in a magazine with Visa spot illustrations with an intro page illustration. I think that this would be really great to kind of break out as that.
Where do you want to go next?
Let's look at hands and quote.
Good. And Sharvari, I know you're with us. Tell us a little bit about what you hope to be doing in the next year. I'd love to know kind of what kind of goals you have in mind and where you want to take your work. But let's go through these. Ooh, these are great.
Yeah.
Love it. I love the almost monster neon colors.
Yes.
Do you know what I'm talking
about? They
about?
are very monster neon. I totally know what you're talking about. Yes.
Oh my God. It's like Count Chocula and, you know what I'm talking about.
Yes. It's funny because I was trying to think and I'm like, yeah, Count Chocula is totally the like color scheme zone for some reason.
This is really great. And Boo Berry.
Yep. Yes.
Oh, now I'm going off on a tangent. Sorry.
I know, right?
These are great.
These are great.
I love it. You know what's really cool too is the halftone background adds a really great texture without going like the full halftone comic route. So I think there's something really fun there. Again, these can be taken into any applications down the road. I think someone wants to know if they're hiring you for this, how adaptable and how easy this could be to turn into other applications. So when you show it, you're solving that whole problem for them. You're answering their question. You know.
Yep. And this is
cool.
This is very fun. It's very, I mean, it has a cool aesthetic. It's definitely telling us a message. Definitely. Oh, I like this. Don't give up on your dreams. Keep sleeping. Love that.
Yeah.
And I like the imagery you're using. You have those indexes of the motion lines telling us to take action. Even though it is the action is sleeping, you do have a lot of energy. You are telling us and informing us that there is something to be done here. So that goes along with the theme really well today.
Yeah. Yeah. I will say too, like if you go back to her main page, I love if you're still with us to tell us a little about it. It looks like you made a radical change in your artwork. Like you put it up, the first few things feel a little corporate. There's some packaging, and then you just like exploded as this incredible illustrator.
Yes.
Do you see that?
I agree.
It's really neat. So I love seeing that. Like I think you're showing some really great progression. I don't know how long you've been illustrating, but you come off as someone that could be hired tomorrow by like Facebook to do stickers and fun stuff. You know?
Yes, it does feel Facebooky. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, so I'd love to explore different areas of design, especially keen on learning 3D. Oh, great. I mean, I can see that in your last, I think it looks like your last post, you're messing around with dimension.
Looks good.
Love that. Oh, these are great.
Yeah.
This is really, really something.
Yeah. And what are you in school? Are you getting into the industry? Where are you in your creative journey?
Yeah. I'd love to know that.
Yeah. I think this is definitely really good work.
Gosh, it's really something nice, really great. And a good variety. It doesn't feel like, I think sometimes most illustrators are obviously trying to show a unique line look that goes across the spectrum. But I can hire you for different things, the collage look, the neon look, now the 3D. So I'm a fan of the variety. I'm a fan of seeing a multiple amount of things you can do.
I agree.
Yeah.
All right. So unfortunately, we do have to keep moving on because we talk too much. That's literally the reason, the only reason. Let's hop over here to our friend. Next up is Emily, Kiana. Emily, if you're in chat, say hi. Let us know. And Sharvari, let us know. Still keep talking to us. We'll be looking at chat and tell us where you are in your journey. All right, cool. So Nick, do you want to take it away? I got some hot takes, so you go first.
Yeah, I know you. So we are looking at the main page. I'm just going to say it feels like I've come into something that is already in progress. Like this, to me, doesn't feel like this starter page right at the very beginning for me. And my first thing I see is Emily is all about sustainability. So we better see what?
Oh, we better see so much sustainability. Here's the thing. Here's the context. Here's the context. If that is the headline on your website, that's how I'm going to review. So all the things that we're going to look at, I'm going to see if you're communicating and using and thinking about sustainability.
Yeah.
And if not, I already would suggest that this does not become a thing on your head, on like the main headline of your website. Maybe put it in projects, because now all that I think is like, oh man, she's gonna have these great innovative ways to like design using sustainability and making things that are more sustainable. And so maybe in chat, let us know how you do that. But we're gonna go through and start looking at some of these. Let's look at etiquette first.
Perfect. Let's get there. Where is that? Etiquette. Perfect. All right, good.
Etiquette. All right, so my feedback. This is incredible work. This color scheme is gorgeous. Yeah. I love your type choices. I love the consistency you have between all of your elements. The way that you've laid out your case study is really good as well. Being able to show like the different sketches and then making it digital and then how it goes into the final deliverables. I think your photography is really good. The way that you presented it is great. The way that I can see it photographed. It looks like there are some staples on the back of the business card holder, the reservation business card holder, or some kind of lines. I'm not sure what those are, but I don't see them anywhere else. So I would just Photoshop those out. So it gets a little bit cleaner. And then it looks like, oh, this folds. Okay. So my feedback and thought here is the Zero and Party projects are really focused on sustainability as a priority focus. Okay, cool. So it's specific projects. I would move that into specific projects because what I was about to ream you on was the thought of doing
Buckle up.
Coasters and business card holders and a tipping card insert and a tent folding card of all these print materials, but then also talking about sustainability of how are you innovating these things that exist in restaurants to be more sustainable. It seems like it's just more printing. And so I think that if you take that headline off and kind of talk about maybe just your approach to design, or maybe explain a little more their cut lines to hold the business cards. Cool.
Oh yeah, so like you pop it in there.
Yep. So maybe applying these to some other things, that it's the tipping card insert is like, oh, it notifies you on your phone and you can just use that. Or the wait time coasters, like, oh, these are printed on wood so that they can be reused forever. Of what are the ways that you're promoting sustainability? Because I think that the design is there. It's top notch, really great. You can just put different applications to really sell that idea of sustainability that you're thinking through.
Yeah, that's true. I'm curious too, was this a student project, Emily, or something you did for someone? It might be in your copy there, but I know we're just pressed for time. I'd love to know who this was for and when you did it. Because I know too, doing sustainable things, paper and all these other things, is a very expensive thing for a client too. So a lot of times some of these ways of being earth friendly are more expensive. So you're right in saying that, like, if you're going to really put that on there, maybe what you do is you have a section in your portfolio that highlights your sustainable projects that were the ones you want to highlight. But as your overarching thing of you as a designer, might be a little bit ambitious to say that.
I agree.
Seeing that there's a lot of other stuff here that is very paper heavy. So just keep that in mind. It was for school. Okay, good.
All right, so let's hop into Zero West. We have literally 4 minutes. I have made a vow to not get cut off on this show anymore because I talk too much. So let's hop over to Zero West. It's really good work. I'm just going to note the secondary logo. I freaking love that so much.
Yes.
That's great. It's gorgeous. And then I think that it works in a 2-color. If you just take out either of the blue or the horizontal, I think it's just really good.
So question for you. What do you think? I think she can almost get away without the primary logo. To me, is the one that might not even be needed.
Oh, I agree, actually. Yeah.
You know, also too, because of the negative space there, I feel like Zero and West could topple over because of the unbalanced thing. Yep. The other two look great. They're really, really something. So
yeah. I like the contrast between the O's too and the circle. Okay. All right, hooray for not getting cut off. Yeah, amen. Yeah. So the strapline, this is gorgeous, making a pattern.
Illustrator moments, those are great.
This is a really good brand. This is a really, really good brand. Your type choices are perfect.
Those illustrative elements are fantastic with the like offset between the yellow and the blue.
Yep.
I really, really like that. Yep. Okay, so can I click on these? No, these application things need to be like huge, 100 times bigger.
Yes.
Like these are the strongest points of this project for you, Emily. Your towel, the stamp, the little wooden business card or the key card. Get these bigger. Yep. I don't want to have to investigate. They're beautiful.
Yep.
They're beautiful.
And again, if we're talking about sustainability, don't do gift certificates. Do a gift card that is reloadable.
There you go.
And these illustrative elements are incredible. Showing it in context. There we go. Now we're seeing some things that are more, oh, this is great. These, yes, there's too much goodness in this zone for these to be this small. Yeah. Like these all need to be,
and they're not
bigger.
Clickable. Yep. They're not clickable. Even if they were clickable to be bigger, that's not the solution. I think as a beautiful, like full width slider, this could be something really cool to have as something a little interactive. I like to see those little what are they called? The parallax kind of vibes of things in this situation where you don't want to build your page too far down, but it gives the person there. Love the soap idea. That soap with the emboss in there is kind of cool as well.
Yep.
So you got a great thing here. I love that you picked relevant and appropriate applications for this brand.
Yep. And
it looks like it's just perfect.
Yep. And on all of your printed materials, I would add maybe a little bit of like texture, like even like put them on a craft paperness, and then just put a note that it's like, oh, printed materials would be biodegradable, would be recyclable, would be made from recycled materials. It's just an easy way that if you do need to do printed stuff, you can communicate that that's the intent behind the brand. And then things like the door hangers, put a wood texture on that, and so that they are printed on wood. Of that, if we're really selling that sustainability, every single thing should really drive that home. Love the apparel, super fun. Wish I could see more of it. It looks like there should be some kind of like slide. Oh, there is a slider. Okay, I just have to click.
I think too, when I see this little icon that's between the 0 and the west, that's half of the compass, it feels very aviation to me in some spots. Do you see that?
It was a totally aviation to me. I didn't even think about it not being aviation. I like 100% thought that it was an aviation-y thing.
Which, like, I am assuming
it's pointing west, so it's 0 to the west.
Yeah,
okay.
So, but when you use it on its own, or you make that pattern with it, to me it looks be like 100% aviation. I think that might be a bit of a drift to something different that I don't think you're trying to imply. But
I don't mind it though. I mean,
you're cool.
I'm kind of okay thinking aviation, because I don't think it really says, like, it just is a general adventure kind of vibe, and so adventure is aviation to me. I would wear this shirt like 100 years. The ZW with a little like cross through it. I think that's just gorgeous.
There you go.
So
this is great.
Overall, great work. I would just make sure that this headline, if you're going to do it, do it. If not, put it as a note in some of these case studies, because I think showing off your work more than the idea of sustainability might be good for you. And then putting sustainability as something that's in those projects.
Totally. As a key or a legend, with that, telling it's one of the features.
Yep. All right, Nick. So we are back at having 3 minutes. We covered so much today. My goodness.
Photography, sustainability.
Yep. Okay.
Impact.
So I was going for travel, compass, and adventure. That's totally what we got. So I think love it. Do you have any overarching takeaways and thoughts for our friends that are trying to create for change?
Wow. I say just challenge yourself. If you haven't done one yet, might be a great idea to start thinking of one for your portfolio and for future interviews and things like that. And my last tip would be collaborate with another designer on this idea. Don't take it on yourself. I think also it's great to work in a group, and if you haven't yet, to show a potential employer that you know how to work with other people.
Yes, so I'll use that as my segue all day. I got to work on a project, and this is Design for Change. I got to work on a project called the Zeal Zine, which is right here. And what we did is we basically had artists and designers. Each person did a 2-color print using risograph printing, and we printed a little zine, and we sold these, and it was a fundraiser for an organization in New York that works to put art in public spaces to help create community. And so, like you said, get your friends together. I literally emailed 12 of my friends and was like, hey, do you guys want to do a piece for this cool zine? And they're like, sure. And we did a collaborative zine, and we've raised some money for a charity, and hopefully are going to create some change. And so literally just go for it. I agree that community is one of the most important and impactful things to drive change, especially creative community, because we can do so much with it. So reach out to your friends, join our Slack up here, find someone in there, get a group together, do something, just make something that's cool, that's fun, that has a message. And my takeaway would be, do your research. Make sure that when you are creating and communicating for a message, don't do it blindly. Don't do it because you think it has a cool aesthetic or you want to do it just because you want to. Do your research, figure out how can I actually help and contribute to this? What is the part that I have here? What should I communicate? What shouldn't I communicate? And enter that with tact and with a little bit of a more methodological approach. That's a word. Methodological with a little more mythology. I don't know. Anyway, so do that and make sure that you are doing your research before you dive into things. There's a great post by a designer whose name is Sasha Garbett. and it is Black Lives Matter is not your design sprint, and it has really, really great information about if you are wanting to design something to help amplify a voice, of different ways that you can do that, maybe suggestions on what you shouldn't do, or things that would be better invested in your time. And so look that up. It is Sesha Garbut, and it is Black Lives Matter is not your design sprint. I think it's called. Yes. Yes. And as always, let us know what other topics we should cover, and we will be back next week. And next week we'll be talking about something very interesting. We don't know what it is yet, but it will be interesting.
It might have to do with going back to school.
Oh, that's right. Oh yeah, we're almost there. We're almost there.
Kind of there.
Yeah,
we're figuring things out.
We got some fun stuff, and let us know.
We plan ahead.
Yes, let us know what your thoughts are on us just like legit teaching you a lesson one day, because I think that could be fun.
Oh, totally.
So we are I'll leave the chat open. Let us know your suggestions for upcoming episodes. The chat will be open for the next 1 minute because I'm still running late. I'm not going to cut off. So I will see you all next week. Adios.
Bye, guys.